Hey all, it's me, Handel. Today I wanted to do something different. We are not going to be making a normal, I guess, yap video. Well, it's going to be a yap video, but we're going to be going back to the tier lists that I started to make. I made a killer and survivor one, which you can go check out on my channel at the playlist section of DBD's worst playlists, and I'll put them in the description as well. But no, today we're going to be ranking the new and probably improved Freddy add-ons. I say probably because I think some of his new add-ons are worse than the older ones, but most are better, and I find overall I find the Freddy rework to be a massive, massive success. So yeah, we're gonna be starting off from the gray add-ons all the way to the iridescent ones, or I guess ultra rare ones. Do keep in mind, this tier list is all my opinion. You can have whatever opinion you want on these add-ons. You may find ones that I find bad strong, and vice versa. I will be putting cards on the screen for what the add-on does, for how the add-on works, etc., etc. Um, Again, it's all my opinion. You can have your own opinions. You can share them in the comments. I'd be happy to see what you guys think of the add-ons. And yeah, I would be, I'd be happy to see your opinions on them. So yeah, let's get started. All right. So we're gonna start off with the gray add-ons and then slowly work our way up to the two iridescent ones. First up is the Garden Rake. The Garden Rake increases the size of the Dream Snare by 10%. This add-on used to give you dream palettes, but since they got baked into Freddy's base kit, the add-on needs to get reworked as well. Do I think this is good? Not really. The Dream Snare is pretty big. It's really hard to miss it. I feel like it's a good add-on for newer players that want to try out Freddy, but as it stands, I feel it's a D tier add-on. It's not really too good per se, but I could definitely see it being useful for people that want to learn Freddy. Next up is the wool shirt. This decreases the palette rupture cooldown by 10%, or delay, as some people will also say. Uh, Basically, the new Dream palettes can explode in a 3.5-meter radius and have a delay for 1.5 seconds. This add-on decreases that by 0.15 seconds, which makes the delay 1.35 seconds. This is decent if you like the Dream palettes, which I do, but I feel it as if it's in the same way as the Garden Rake. It's fun, but it's not all that useful because the Dream palettes are very situational. So I'm also going to put this in the D tier. The Kid's Drawing is the next add-on. It increases the amount of sleep gain from dream abilities by 10%. This add-on is very redundant. Um, you gain 30 seconds of sleep from a snare and 60 from a dream palette. It takes 60 seconds to fall asleep. You instantly fall asleep if you get hit by a dream palette, but you fall asleep if you get hit by two dream snares. So what this does is it adds 3 or 6 seconds respectively. Now the only way I can see this being somewhat useful is if you combine it with another add-on that I'll go over later. But I still think this is a really weak and really just really bad add-on for Freddy because it virtually does nothing besides, those 3 and 6 seconds, which are not much. They're not much at all. So this is gonna be our first E tier. It's just bad. Just really bad add-on. The sheep block. This increases the alarm clock cooldown by 10%. This is a good add-on. 10% is quite a bit. For reference, the alarm clocks have a cooldown of 45 seconds. So that means that, you can fall asleep once, wake up, and then you'll have 15 seconds left before you fall asleep again. because you have an immunity to falling asleep for 30 seconds, and then you fall asleep within, those other 60 seconds. So you'll have roughly about 30 to 15 seconds left until you fall asleep. So this add-on makes that 45 second cooldown a 49.5 second cooldown, which is really good. It's almost 50 seconds. So I'm gonna put this in the B tier. It's not too great, but I wouldn't say it's bad. It's definitely up there with some of his better add-ons. Next up, the prototype clause decreases the Dream Snare charge time by 10%. This is really good, because of how Freddy works. I'm already gonna put this in the A tier, but with how Freddy works now, whenever you charge up a Dream Snare, you get slowed. You go slower than a survivor. So decreasing this charge time is really great because it saves you a lot more time. Sure, you can you only need to charge the snare for a couple seconds, but decreasing that time even more is really, really nice. It practically doesn't take a second to charge the snare with this add-on. So it's really good and it saves you a lot of time. The cap block decreases the dream projections cooldown by 10%. The dream projections are Freddy's teleport, and I'd say this is still a really good add-on. The dream projections take, I believe it's 30 seconds, and decreasing that by 3 seconds is pretty helpful because you can get to situations you normally wouldn't be able to get to without those 3 seconds. It's a different situation than the kids drawing because the kids drawing, it's just it doesn't add anything to Freddy. This, however, does. It can give you opportunities you normally wouldn't be able to get because of those 3 extra seconds. So I'm gonna put this in the A tier, right beside the prototype clause. This add-on has also been consistently one of Freddy's best add-ons, which I find pretty funny. Um, but yeah, I quite like this add-on. It used to have this a similar effect to the Z block, which we'll go over later. But yeah, it's a pretty good add-on. It's been consistently one of his best, in my opinion. Um, the outdoor rope. I haven't really sorted this nicely. My apologies. Increases the speed at which the Dream Snare travels by 15%. I feel like this is in the same tier, just a bit above the Garden Rake. It has a similar effect to the Garden Rake, but it's a bit more useful, I guess, because, like I said, it's hard to miss, but this just makes it a bit more easy to hit, I guess. I don't know. I don't feel like it's great, but I don't feel like it's very bad neither. But then again, it's kind of just like the Garden Rake. It's not too good. The green dress. This increases the time it takes for the survivors to perform the wake up action by 2 seconds. This is decent. Waking up is, Freddy's counter because the dream abilities won't have any effect on the survivors besides giving them sleep. So making them wake up longer is good because it stalls out the game for in your favor. Um, I'd say this is a C tier add-on. It doesn't affect the gameplay much, but it can help out. It can be pretty decent at just, adding a bit of pressure because it forces the survivors to do a side objective, which is, pretty good. Next up is the Nancy sketch. This decreases the sleep immunity by 20% after using an alarm clock. Now, like I said earlier, it takes 30 seconds for you to have the sleep immunity after you wake up from an alarm clock. If I had this wrong, I'll edit it on the screen. But reducing the time it takes for survivors to not be affected by your abilities at all, like where you can't fall asleep. That's what the sleep immunity does. You can't fall asleep. You can't get affected by snares, pallets, and if Freddy hits you, you won't fall asleep neither. I have a stance on this, which I might go over in a later video, but this is good because just reduces the amount of time survivors can have before being vulnerable again. It's really nice to have overall. I'd say this is a B tier add-on simply because 20% isn't much, but it again, it's still really nice. Next up is the unicorn block. I am a big fan of this add-on personally. It increases the pallet rupture radius by 15 not 15%, sorry, 0.5 meters, and I quite like this. It increases the range from 3.5 meters to 4 meters, which actually allows you to get pretty funny snipes through walls. There's a certain part on the Silent Hill map, the Midwich Elementary School, where there's a section with two pallets facing the wall. If you rupture a dream pallet through that, you can actually get a hit if the survivor is hugging the wall. It's really fun. Like I said earlier, the dream pallets are a bit situational, but I quite like this add-on. So I am also going to put this in the B tier because it does have its uses. It is pretty good. The blue dress. This makes the dream snares act like the old ones, which were hilariously bad. They weren't good um at all back then. They were a really good part of Freddy's kit, but they just weren't good as an ability because you had that or the dream pallets and it depended on an add-on. So this is going in the E tier because it it doesn't give you anything else other than, oh, your snares don't move and they stand there for 8 seconds. Like, cool. Woo. You only have one on the ground, two ground. But having one, I feel largely just makes this add-on pointless. If they want to buff this add-on, maybe make it so you can have like two to three on the ground instead of just one. I don't know. If they want to make this add-on good, I feel like they have to bring back the whole Dream Snare token system. Next up, Nancy's Masterpiece. Decreases the dream protection cooldown by 10% after hitting a survivor with the dream ability. I like the dream projection. It's a really good ability. Sorry if I'm kind of messing up my words. My bad. But it's a really good ability. Being able to TP to gens adds pressure to survivors. If they're healing in the dream world, you can TP to them as well. Um, I'd say this is a mid-tier add-on at best because 10%, it's not much, but with the amount of abilities you have, like a dream snares, you're able to send those out every 7 seconds. I'd say it's decent. Getting 1.5 or 1.5 or 3, I think. Yeah, 3 seconds every time you hit someone, and that doesn't even count the pallets, by the way. It's pretty decent. Just a pretty decent add-on in just in every aspect. Next up is the jump rope. This increases the hindered penalty duration when a survivor is hit by a dream snare um, by I believe 40%, 14%. Um, I'd say this is pretty good. It's just that the hindered itself is pretty easy to just apply in a close quarters. So I feel like the jump rope is either good if you want to prevent survivors from going further if they get the injured speed boost, or you are just kind of paranoid about survivors getting too much distance. It's definitely not a C tier add-on. I'd say it's like this part of B tier. I would have normally put this in A or S, but it's not that big a deal. It's good for closing distance, but other than that, it's not too great. The paint thinner. This is by far Freddy's most fun add-on, and I really love this thing. What it does is every time a survivor throws down a pallet, you have a chance to teleport to them if your teleport's ready. And this will increase that TP speed by 100%. So you TP to the survivor in like 1 second. It's so ridiculously fun to use. Um, and it works. It works. It works on survivors. It's really funny and it's just really good to use. Especially with how Freddy's dream projection works. You gain it back really fast if you're good with managing survivor sleep. I'd say this is I want to put this in S tier, but like at the same time, I don't know. I'm gonna put it in high A tier simply because of how good it is. Because you either allow survivors to have you on them constantly, or they are forced to have area denial constantly and try to manage it and hope you don't have the TP ready. It's so fun, man. It's so fun. Next up, this add-on makes me really depressed. The Z block. The Z block used to be a really, really good add-on for Freddy that marked people if they were within 60 meters of a gen with Killer Instinct. This got removed, unfortunately. It's put into Freddy's base kit. Anyone within 8 meters gains Killer Instinct and has a bit of sleep put onto them. I think it's like 15 seconds. But this add-on now just reveals survivor auras for a few seconds after they get hit with a snare or a pallet. It sucks because you're usually close range when this happens, so I'm gonna have to put it in the E tier because it's just really bad. The class photo. Survivors in the dream world are revealed with killer instinct when opening the exit gates. Pretty good, you know when survivors are opening the gates. But then you can also TP to these gates. This is a really good add-on for an endgame build. It's really good, and I feel like it's just a really good add-on overall. So, I am going to actually put this in the S tier because this add-on has saved my ass a several bunch of times when I was doing an endgame build. Um, it's really good. It's really strong. Like I said, in endgame builds, and it can actually be good in regular builds too as survivors reach the endgame. So yeah, I think it's just a really good add-on. The swing chains. Survivors in the not the dream world, sorry. Um, what this does after using a dream projection, every window within 16 meters is blocked for 6 seconds. Sounds pretty good until you realize it's after the dream projection. Uh, yeah. So survivors can still vault the window before you're actually there to block the windows. Um, this add-on is just not good. It's bad. So I'm going to put this in the E tier next to the Z block because it's just bad. The pill bottle. This is really good. What it does, every time a survivor wakes up, they fall asleep 50% faster. So it cuts that 60 seconds into 30. Yeah, it's pretty good. Having a survivor constantly be affected by, your presence and having them fall asleep constantly, which makes them vulnerable to your dream abilities, it's really good. Just it's an add-on which doesn't have any. It's not a lose-lose or a win-win. It's just well, it is a win-win. It's just a win-win add-on. It's really good. You're punishing survivors for waking up. It's really nice. All right, now we got the two iridescent add-ons, the black box and the paintbrush, and how low the mighty have fallen. We're gonna go over the red paintbrush first because this one I feel is usable. What it does is every time a survivor is asleep, you see their aura basically constantly if they're 32 meters away. So if they're out of your terror radius. I like this add-on because it pays homage to the original Freddy and how he worked. He had constant aura reveal. He could see where you were constantly, and it was really good. Well, it wasn't really good because it was, old Freddy, but on paper, it sounds really good. In practice, it's not great. And it's the same with this add-on. It's not a great add-on. so I'm gonna have to put it in D tier. And finally, the black box. It does nothing if you're awake. This used to block 15 seconds worth of the exit gates whenever they were opened, but now it does nothing if you're awake, and if you're asleep, it blocks them for 15 seconds. And then it lingers for 3 seconds if you're woken up. Um, it's just bad. It's not good. If they were to make the black box usable, I would make it so that survivors automatically fall asleep when the end game happens, or that if they fall asleep within the end game and the gates are opened, they block for 30 seconds and not 15 or 18. It's just a bad add-on. It's not worth using. It's not good. It's just bad. So, yeah, that's the tier list. I made a tier list previously, which I will put on screen right now, and you might have noticed that a lot of my rankings have changed. Uh, it's just that I've experimented with a lot of these add-ons now, and I can confidently say that these two are just the best add-ons, and these are also worth using. But the rest are either really mediocre, and these are just really bad. But again, feel free to leave your comments down below. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't already, go subscribe. I have a Twitch channel. I stream there sometimes. I'm going to be streaming this week. Make sure you go follow that if you haven't already. And yeah, I will hopefully see you guys again on my streams. Bye bye.